dry road, it was a clear evening, it was a perfect spring day and a perfect spring evening.
For an accident that came in sounding very bad. It was a major intersection, which meant that there was possibly high speeds involved. The call came in as an accident involving children literally lying in the street.
2 minutes into our response, we got a radio call. It says we now have a motorcyclist involved. We had approached the intersection. As we got closer to it, we could see where there were cars that were actually stopped, waiting for us to go through.
Probably 3/4 of the way through the intersection, all of a sudden from nowhere to the right.
It was behind those two vehicles that she popped out. Absolutely no chance for us to see her at all.
A car appeared in our path, and we collided.
Basically, the reaction was I stiffened up at the wheel this way. Both Rick and I had seen her at the same time and hollered.
I sensed the impact. I hear that noise, that crunch of the metal, to this day, as vividly as the instant that it happened.
Whether it was from the nightmares that I had after the accident or this was what I actually had seen before the impact, was her face looking up in total amazement that we were even there. That's still etched in my brain, but I honestly don't know if that's something that I actually witnessed or if it's something that came out into the nightmares afterwards. I don't remember anything after that. My next conscious thought was that we were on our side and spinning, and the smell of smoke.
I remember the ambulance flipping over on its side, and I remember looking through the windshield and seeing the landscape in front of us rotating as we spun down the road.
First thing I thought of after that was, where was Rick? Because I thought for sure that, being we had gone over on the side, that he might have been tossed out the window and was trapped between the squad and the pavement. I mean, a lot of hollering and screaming going on those first few seconds. So we both kind of figured out that we were both okay, and then trying to extricate ourselves out.
At that time, there was a lot of bystanders that were starting to run up from every direction. And all I could do was look about and see equipment scattered about the inside of the ambulance, around the outside where the back doors had sprung open.
And then all of a sudden, one of the bystanders screamed and pointed, and about, I'd say about 10 feet from the car was a body laying face down in the grass. That was the driver.
I looked back to the intersection and I saw the car that we had hit. And at that time I had seen Michael kneeling down next to a body. And that's when the second reality hit me. You know, we had indeed done some damage, that somebody was injured.
A firefighter just happened to be over by the car and looked, and there was a little girl in his car. And it was like the whole world stopped.
There's a kid in the car. And Mike and I just kind of looked at each other, and we couldn't believe it. That was another reality that hit us, you know. Not only was there one victim, but there was two.
Both of us breaking down in the back of the squad on the way to the hospital, saying that we got in this business to save lives, not take them. I had my attorney kept telling me, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. You know, they don't put paramedics in prison for trying to do their job. But I knew all along that that's what was going to happen. All of what they came out with was very negative. I mean, there was no focus whatsoever on what good I had done in the past 14 years. So what? That's not what we're here about. We're here because you screwed up. But that was a low point, being taken away from my family. Put in handcuffs and taken away from my family. You spend all your life and being brought up and nurtured in a way of how you treat people and caring about them and doing what you can for them, and then putting that into practice during your adult life in a career that's basically devoted to doing that. Then all of a sudden you find yourself inside a jail, and instead of taking an inmate out, you're now wearing the orange scrubs and you're one of them. Instead of being Michael Montecalvo, firefighter paramedic, it was now Michael Montecalvo, convicted felon. Big difference. I found out very quickly that regardless of the circumstances surrounding why you're now being called a convicted felon, it didn't matter. You're still a convicted felon. There were a lot of nightmares about the accident itself. And not so much looking at the victims, but when in these dreams, when I was there again, I mean, it was family members, my daughter, Freddie, you know, other people. "10 minutes before the accident, I was living life and having a ball doing something I loved to do. Had my entire career ahead of me, had no place to go but up, and I was there. I was in for a promotion, which would have put me into full inspector, so everything was in front of me, and I was having a ball. I had the best of everything that I wanted to do with my career. 10 minutes after the accident, all got flushed right down the drain. It was gone that fast. They've got to be aware, number one, of their physiological state. What is that adrenaline rush doing to them? And do they have it under control? And if it's not under control, then basically they're out of control. And that's something I never understood or even knew about until after the accident. Look, it happened. This is what can happen to you because of the precedent set. So you better start thinking about it so it doesn't happen to you.